Hello guys, my name is Khan, and actually in this video, as you can see on your screens too, that this dashboard is about how to upload files in Shiny dashboard through the dashboard. So I have created this button which is input file button, but before that I also have created two options that in this dashboard you can upload two kind of tabs, two kind of data, CSV or tab delimited data. So first the user have to tell, okay, is it a CSV file or a tab delimited file. Suppose I am uploading CSV file, then I am browsing it. So I will go, this is the data set that I am looking for. So I have tab delimited data and CSV. They are two different data set. So I will suppose if I choose data underscore CSV open. So you can see here what's happening here is that when you will use this button, which is this function from which allow us to load the data sets into dashboard is named as input file. So actually when you use input file, the main thing it will capture is this thing, that it will create this table which will be having the data name, data size, data type and data path. And once we will be using from this input file, we will be using this data path to retrieve this data set, which is then I'm showing it here. So in this video I will show you guys that how you can create input file function that will allow you to upload data into Shiny, and then I will be using, and then once I will be load the data, after that I'm showing it here in a tabular form. You can do different kind of other analysis too on the file that you have uploaded in through the dashboard. And again in this here I can show you guys that if I rerun it and I want to import a tab delimited data, so I first select it. Now I am going to select tab, browse it. So this is my tab data, tab delimited data. Open it, so you can see that in this we have data related to the 4 questions, and this data is about a survey, a hypothetical survey data. So let's see and start making our codes which will allow us to create a similar dashboard. So I will close it. I will also close this. Don't save. So first thing is that for this video I will be starting with this input file, which is kind of a blank dashboard. I will maximize it in a separate file. So actually this is a kind of a blank dashboard. As you can see that we don't have any sidebar panel functionalities. Don't have any main panel. The Shiny server is empty. So it's just a blank dashboard that I have in this code, and then I will keep on adding code in this file to show you guys that how I can you can upload the data into a dashboard. So first I will execute it, Control A and Control Enter. As you can see, this dashboard is blank, and now what I will do, I will start adding functions in this code. So the first thing is that you guys remember I will be creating a radio button in my sidebar panel. So if for the user, so that they're able to select which data type they are going to upload into the dashboard. So I will be using radio button, and within the radio button, the first thing, as you can see, I will be using the input ID, and then I will be giving the label to my radio button, and finally what are the choices I'm giving within this radio button. So the ID that I want to give is, suppose I'm calling it as data underscore T, so T for type, comma, I will be labeling it as select the data type you are uploading here. And the last thing is that what are the choices that I want to give. So I want to give two choices, CSV or tab delimited. So I will be creating a vector and I'll be saying, okay, CSV is equal to comma. Actually, CSV will be written down as a label, and the actual value will be this comma. And then the second option that I want to give is tab, okay, equal to so for the tab I will be giving the tab because I will be calling this thing when I will be using a function read.table. So this is a radio button. So the next thing we have to add is that we need to use some sort of function which will allow us to upload the data into the dashboard. For that, we will be using a new function which we have never used in our previous video, which is fileInput. As you can see, this is a fileInput. It is a shiny function in which we will be giving input ID, label. So input, even you can select, if I go to input ID, you can see that the arguments that we can give is input ID, label, and even we can give that if we want to select multiple files. But in this video, we will be selecting just one file. This. So the first thing is that label ID, which I will want to give. So for this, the ID that I want to give is data underscore file. So F for file. Again, you can name it whatever you want. There is no need to write down data underscore F for you. So the next thing is what will be the title. So I will be giving a title to file input button as upload your data here. And the last thing, I think that's all for file input. So now I think everything that I have to do for my user interface is completed. I still have to update my main panel, but before updating the main panel, what I will go and will start doing a bit code here. So the first thing that I like to show you guys that what's this ID data underscore F will be storing. Actually, this object will not be actually storing the exact the data frame. Actually, it will be capturing things like file name, data path, and then we will be using that data path to actually upload that data into rshiny. So first thing that I want to show is that what's this data underscore F is capturing. So let's see what's the input ID. Input dollar data underscore F is capturing. So in order to do that, what I will do, I will create an output object, output dollar, and I'm calling it as out underscore data underscore F1. Again, you can name it whatever you want. I'm just calling it as this. Then I'm using a assign sign, and then I'm using a render table command. And within the render table command, I will write down my code. So here, the important thing is that once you run down your code, you obviously you haven't uploaded any file in it. So initially, you always your data underscore F whenever you will run the code first time. It will not have any object assigned to underscore F until you upload the file. Therefore, you have to write down this code in order to ignore any kind of error. So the code, this line is kind of is good to write to ignore any kind of error. So I would be saying is dot null. So I am saying that if this object is null, then return nothing. Don't return me error, but return nothing. Else, so I am using an else command, that if suppose if this object is not empty or null, then I will be using else. Else I am using a command that do this thing, which will be to, so I'm using that. So I'm saying if this thing is null, then do nothing. But if there is something in this object, then actually use that object and capture it through the render table and assign it to this data object, output underscore data underscore f1. So let's see if I use this thing in my main panel to see what this object is capturing from this data underscore f. So in order to do that, I will be using output. So table output, and within the table output I will be mentioning this object. So let's see if I execute this code, what it shows. So whatever it will show whatever this object is capturing. So I will say Control S, Control A, Control Enter. So currently we don't have anything here. Again, I also have to mention here that because I have used the file input button, so let me check the code actually why it's not showing me the file input. Okay, so actually there was some brackets were missing, so I just balanced out those brackets. And now if I execute my code, Control A and then Control Enter, so you can see that we have a button here, and there is nothing shown in the main panel yet because we haven't selected any file. So now if I select it, so even here that's why I'm mentioning here that if this input.data.file object is missing, is null, then don't do anything. That's why we have blank here. Otherwise we may have an error written down here that we don't find anything from that data underscore f object. So let's see if I upload a CSV file, browse. So once I uploaded the file, you can see that this thing got appeared. There is a data frame which is containing just name, size, type and data path. And this data table is actually coming from the object that we have made in our file input. So this input ID is actually capturing this thing, which you can see on the dashboard. And for the later part of the code, you can use different part of this ID to do data manipulation or to code. So for us, when you will be reading, we will use read.table function. We will be actually using this data path part of this object to call the data. So let's back to C and continue our coding now. Now the next thing is that I want to do is that I will first create for my own ease a reactive function. So in order to create a reactive function, I will say I'm calling it as data file, because that this reactive function will be capturing the data. So I'll be using reactive. So again, I will be using first this if condition, that if the data frame is missing, then don't do anything. But else, if there is something in this data underscore f, then we have to perform some operation. Then I am saying that assign a table to this AA. Again, you can name it whatever you want, but what will be the name? So for that, I will be using to assign a data table or a data frame to this AA. I will be using a function read dot table. So dot table, and within the read dot table, you can see that the first I have to mention the file, and in order to mention the file, I need to have a data path. In order to extract that data path before and after else, I will be specifying a new object which will be actually capturing the same thing, same data table which we have in this input $data_f, but I am assigning it into a new object so that I am able to extract the path out of it, because from here I can't do it. I will be extracting the file path now from this object. So in order to do that, now we'll come here and say files underscore spec, and I'll be saying $. The column name of path where the data path is also data path, comma, I'm saying header should be the variable name, consider the variable name. I'll be saying true. And the last thing is that the separator between the column, is it a CSV file or a tab delimited file? For that, I will be using this data type. I'll be mentioning here it as input $data t. And the last thing I think I would like to do is that return in the last of this reactive function return. In this case, if the object is missing, then return nothing. But if there is something we have in this input data underscore, then return this object AA. So this is my reactive function. Now I can create another output which I will be then mentioning here, which will allow us to render table in the main panel. So in order to do that, I will be creating another output object, calling it as I'm just calling it as the same, but will be change something. So instead of F1, I will be calling it as F2, and then I'm assigning it, and again I will be using the function render table, and within the render table I will first mention again that if there is no data selected, return nothing. Else, if there is something we have in the data frame that we have selected, then we have to say that so we will be calling the data from this data underscore file. So if there is nothing, if we haven't selected any data or haven't uploaded any data, then we will return nothing, and nothing will be rendered as a table. But if there is a data that we have selected, then based on this reactive function, this data frame which we are capturing in under reactive function AA will be rendered and will be captured in this output underscore data underscore F2. So, but before executing the code, I will go to my main panel and I will also update it for the second data path, so, for F2. So I will be mentioning here F2, So now if I execute the code, probably I will not get an error, and I will be can upload the data sets now, and I think the dashboard is ready. Control A, Control Enter. So let's see, first upload the CSV file. Open. So I think there is something happening because I want that there must also be a second data frame here. So let's see where I'm getting an error. Let me check, and I will just give me a minute. Sorry, again I haven't added these brackets here, so that's why I was having an error. So I have added those brackets. Now everything is fine. So now let's see if I execute the code, Control A and then Control Enter, and now you can see that the dashboard is ready. So let's see if I upload a CSV file. So you can see we have this table first, which is coming from which will be coming from the input ID object, which is captured under the input file, and then by using that data path, we are able to capture this table through read.table function. And now let's see if I use a tab delimited data. So I think better to refresh it, and then now let's see if I use a tab delimited data, and now we'll upload the tab delimited data, which is this one. Open it up, and you can see that I have now able to upload the tab delimited data. In this way, you can also load different kind of data sets in rshiny. Again, if you want, the last thing that I would like to tell you, that if you want to add this table into main panel, you can also do that. So I will go to my, so instead of mentioning within the sidebar panel, I will just take it from here, Control X, and I want to put it under the main panel, or suppose in the start of the main panel, comma. Let's see how it works now. Control A, Control Enter, and now you can see that upload button is appearing under the main panel, and hopefully it will work the same way. So let's see if you first upload the tab data, and you can see everything is working in the same way. And the last thing is that I will also check for tab delimited. And everything is working fine. So in this video we have discussed that how you can use mainly the file input function, and then we also have discussed that how you can extract the data path from the segment which get captured through ID of ID that we defined in the file input function. Thank you for watching the video.